Hi guys, welcome to my course on how to get a job at United Nations, the IMF, and other organizations around the world. Now, we already talked about the salaries, the level system, the duty station, how the process works, how to get jobs, how to apply. Now it's time to talk about the type of contract, because this is something you need to know when you're going to apply, where you fit in, what type of contracts you want to have. Let's talk about that. So there's a lot of different type of contract at United Nations. You need to know them in order to be able to know where you want to apply and how it's matching your profile. There's also a new tricky one. We're going to talk about that now. All right. So first of all, fixed term contract. These are basically stuff that are immutable in a company. Okay. So for example, secretaries, you're always going to have a secretary. You're always going to have a person in finance and budget at the human resource. So you're always going to have a director. You're always going to have drivers and cleaners, and you always have security. These posts are fixed terms. They never vary. They always have. They may have more or less sometimes. So it is possible that you may have an assistant, which is going to be temporary, but generally those posts are firm. They're going to be for 1 year to 3 years, depending. And the way they are, either they're going to be what we call core or non-core. So you can have a post for a year, which is called fixed term, but non-core, meaning there's a chance the post is abolished, but the contract overall is the exact same. You'll need to try to figure it out. That's not too easy. When you're going to do your interview and they ask you a question at the end, if you feel that you need to ask the question, is this post a core post, or am I going to be there forever until I retire, or this is a post that I'm going to have only for a few years and I'm going to have to apply somewhere else, you may ask the question. It's a bit difficult to figure out from the outside, but generally, I'm going to teach you how to sort that out. Then you're going to have your temporary post. Now, temporary is not bad, okay? Temporary means a trial period, okay? So essentially, you're on probation. They want to make sure that you're good before they give you a fixed term. This is fine. It's still the same benefit you're going to get, okay? You still have more than a year. The minute you bust your year, you understand that you're about like $50,000-$60,000 to move in, and you're going to get your $40,000-$50,000 when they send you back home after the term of your contract, which is still a lot of money, plus your salaries and all your benefit. And you have your years of experience in the UN, and you have time while you're getting your salary to apply somewhere else. So this is very good. But they are temporary posts. These are, for example, they are starting a new software. They need people to test. They need people to program. They have an emergency. They only have something for a specific period of time. They're building something and they need staff for a specific period of time. These are your temporary posts. All right, let's talk about the tricky one. Now, a lot of people call this one a scam. I don't. I'm going to tell you why. Okay, there's so many people that it's difficult in an hour interview to determine whether or not somebody will fit in the UN. I get that. So to give somebody 365 days, a full year, automatically gives them tens of thousands of dollars for relocation at arrival and tens of thousands to ship them back home at the end. It's very expensive for the UN. Also, once you have a year, you're more basically in the group, right? You're already a staff. If it's less than that, it's a temporary contract. They don't have to pay you that much. What they will do with these kinds of posts is, if you're great, they're going to keep you for a few more months in order for you to bust your year, and then they will retroactively give you all your money. So at the end, you might have the last month's salary at $80,000 because they're going to pay you everything retroactively, okay? This is a gamble for you to take, but it's still a great job. It's still you're a staff. You're going to get a lot of benefit, but not all of them. So this is mostly for the UN just to protect themselves. So if the candidate doesn't match, well, then they can easily get rid of the candidate, say, well, it was for 364 days, you're not getting any more benefit, goodbye. This is something that they do to protect themselves. You should apply to these posts still, but understand, okay, if you move with your car and your household good, they may not pay you for the move later down the road, and you might lose that money. Short-term posts. Now we're talking 5-6 months. Okay, these are basically your UN staff, but it's like the 364 days, but half the time. So they might need somebody just for a very short period of time. Okay, like again, testing software, programming something, building something, analyzing something, whatever. They might need someone for certain application that are going to be completed after a few months, and then you go home. They might have a staff that's basically going on maternity leave, so they need somebody to replace her while she's on, she's basically taking care of her newborn, and then she's going to come back. So essentially, you're going to go home, right? It's a temporary post. It's not bad. It's basically like an internship. You could view it this way, but you're paid for it at full price, but you're not going to get all the relocation stuff. Now, if your post is extended, you bust a year, you get everything retroactively. Then you're going to have the SSA. SSA is a bit tricky. This is basically your special service arrangements that are basically no more than a year. After that, they're supposed to make you a staff. They don't always do it. The advantage of those posts is this, okay? You're not going to get any holidays paid or anything like that. It's a contract. You're not considered a staff, but you're in the house. You will meet tons of people. You're going to actually be able to interact with the bosses, with everybody. You're going to be part of the organization. Yes, you're not going to be a staff. You're not going to accumulate pensions and stuff like that, but you're already going to be inside the organization. So after that, if they advertise a post, you would be able to apply for that post and say, yeah, I used to do that post, so I'm the most qualified to do it since I was doing it before. Then after that, we're going to talk about your contract. This is basically either 15 days to 90 days or an amount of money. So you could just basically say, okay, we need to build something, whatever, for a refugee camp, an emergency. We need to build fencing or something like that. They're going to bring you in. They're going to give you $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. You do it, you go home. That's a contract at the UN. These are advertised online. They could be advertised in amount of money, or they can be advertised as days. You can actually apply that as a company, no issues. They could hire you or hire your company. For that, it's a bit difficult. We're going to have a course I'm going to have a full video on how to get contract at the UN as a company. It's a bit difficult, but you can do that. These are also very easy to get compared to positions. Okay, I'm not saying that they're easy because a lot of people apply for it. However, these are much easier to get because they're short term than if you were to get a job for a year. They may also not have necessarily interviews. You may have tests. You may have like a conversation over the phone. They might just go with your proposal and give you the contract immediately. So this is the contract. Now, we already discussed the salaries. I'm going to go very briefly over what it looks like when we're talking about the two different types of contract, okay? So here, for example, we talk about a P3 staff, $80,000. Then with the post adjustment, we already discussed this in previous videos. They're in the description below if you just arrive on this video. And then, so that's going to be $40,000. So now you're $120,000. You're going to have your relocation grant, $18,000. Now the relocation grant, you can keep it for yourself and just move with your suitcase and keep the money, or you can move your car, your household good, whatever you want by yourself, or you can let the organization do it. Then you don't get $18,000, but you don't spend anything moving. Then you're going to have your DSA. So if you have a spouse and a kid, you're going to get 60-day salary right there. Then your your assignment grant. So that's a month's salary. You're going to get your education grant for a year if it's a year contract. You're going to get your rental subsidy. And once you're done with your contract, they're going to relocate you back home. So you're going to get relocation grant. You make about $230,000 more or less in salary and in benefit for that period of time. So this is a 1-year contract. Now let's look what it looks like when you don't have that. Well, $80,000. Why? Because now you're not getting any of the benefit. You didn't do your 1 year. You don't have your relocation. You don't have anything. Now, some organization may pay rent. Some organization may decide to have some provision for education grant and stuff like that. They might pay your flights as well, which I didn't include in the other one. I should have. But generally they don't. So this is the difference. But again, you have a foot in the door if you don't have a 1-year contract. And if they extend more than 1 year, then they're going to go back retroactively and they're going to pay you all that difference, okay? So this is one thing that you have to understand. So you might end up paying your rent by yourself this period of time, and then they're just going to cover it all retroactively, so you're going to get a huge chunk of money. And that's how that works. So this was talking about the contracts at the United Nations. The next one, we're going to talk about the step. So basically your salary increase. We're going to talk about negotiating your step if ever you get the job. This is going to be the next video. And then we're going to start about the interview, what you're competing against. And we're going to talk about the meat of the recruitment process. So guys, subscribe to the channel, give me the thumbs up. See you in the next video. Hi guys, in this video I want to talk to you about the step in the negotiating of contracts at the United Nations. So we talked about the salaries, the contract, and everything in previous video. Everything is in the description below in the playlist. You can watch these video later. Listen, this is the step. How do you increase your salary at the UN? And also when you get recruited, what are the steps for? Let's talk about that now. So the step at the United Nations is basically something that you get every year in order to increase your salary. So for example, you might be P3 step 1 when you start. Then you will become P3 step 2 or step 4 or step 6 because sometimes they go by 2-step increment. Eventually they go to 1-step increment. It depends on what you have. If you have multiple languages, so if you speak English and Spanish, for example, you can be declared proficient in Spanish or French or Russian, the official UN languages, basically the 6 of them. We're going to talk about that later. Once you have those, then your step will increase faster. Instead of increasing every year, they might increase every 10 months. That really shows down the road, okay? You're going to get maybe one more step every 5 years instead of, one. So you're going to get, let's say, for example, 10 step after 5 years instead of getting 6. So this is the kind of thing that you could do to increase your step faster. The other thing is the steps are used also for negotiation. So for example, you start at the United Nations, they say, okay, I'm going to give you P3 step 1. You check the salary and what P3 step 1 gets you, and you realize that basically it gives you either the same salary you have right now or more or less, you're losing money. You can call them or you can email HR and say, okay, I would agree with the contract as it is, no issue. But if you could, because of XYZ, I would love to have 4 or 5 more steps because I have more experience, because I know P3 step 1 maybe would say you have 10 years of experience in your field, while you have 15. Guys, look, I have 5 more years of experience. Can you give me a few more steps? And generally that will work and they'll give you more steps. A step is about 1,000, 1,002 per year. Ask 5 more step, you're going to get $5,000 more per year and you're going to be already in advancement in your steps. This is the type of thing you can do at the UN to increase your step. Now, in the next video, we're going to talk about post and we're going to talk about location. Now, guys, even if you're not applying for a post at the UN... Now, in the next video, we're going to talk about post and location. And this one you don't want to miss because there are a lot of chances that you might not be able to get a job at the UN because you don't qualify on location. We need to talk about that. All right, so we're going to talk about this in the next video. Subscribe to the channel. Give me the thumbs up. I see you in the next video.